All right, so picture this. A world made just for mice.
Oh, yeah.
A paradise.
Right.
With, like, everything they could ever need.
Okay.
Unlimited food, cozy nests.
Yeah.
No predators. Like, lurking around.
Sounds pretty good.
It does, right? Sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what the Universe 25 experiment set out to create back in 1968.
Right.
And let me tell you,
Okay.
the results.
Yeah.
Not what anyone expected.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how this experiment,
Yeah.
designed to study overcrowding in mice,
Yeah.
ended up revealing some pretty unsettling truths about
Right.
the potential pitfalls of a seemingly perfect world.
So let's dive right in.
Okay.
Who was the mastermind behind this mouse utopia? And what was he hoping to learn?
Well, that would be John Calhoun,
Right.
researcher at the National Institute of Mental Health.
Okay.
Calhoun was already known for his research on rodent populations. In fact, he had conducted similar studies before,
Oh, really?
but they were cut short because of, get this,
Yeah.
space limitations in the laboratory.
Oh, wow.
Talk about irony.
Yeah, right.
So, with Universe 25,
Yeah.
he aimed to build a habitat large enough to support thousands of mice,
Okay.
and finally observe the long-term effects of population density.
So he essentially built them a luxury apartment complex
Pretty much.
for mice.
Yeah.
Did you think they'd be living the high life?
Pretty much.
I-
This enclosure was designed to be a rodent paradise,
All right.
capable of comfortably housing a population of 4,000 mice.
4,000.
It was equipped with everything a mouse could ever dream of.
Wow.
Abundant food and water,
Okay.
climate control, nesting materials,
Right.
even multiple levels
Oh, wow.
with ramps and tunnels for exploring.
Oh, nice.
They called it mortality-inhibiting environment for mice
Okay.
because the only thing that could really threaten them was
Right.
each other.
Okay, so you're telling me he eliminated every possible threat to their survival.
Right.
Except for one
Yep.
limited space.
Limited space.
But wasn't the habitat designed to comfortably house 4,000 mice?
You're right, it was.
Okay.
But remember,
Yeah.
these mice were free to reproduce as they pleased, and reproduce they did.
Okay.
At first, everything went swimmingly.
Okay.
The population boomed,
Right.
eventually reaching a peak of 2,200 mice.
2,200. Okay.
It was a picture of blissful rodent existence.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't.
I have a feeling this is where things start to take a turn.
Got it.
For the worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm already picturing a tiny mouse city overrun with, well, mice.
Yeah.
What happened when the honeymoon phase was over?
Well, as you might expect,
Yeah.
things get a little
Yeah.
complicated.
Okay.
The abundance of resources and the lack of external threats
Right.
created a unique set of challenges.
Okay.
Think about it. In the wild,
Yeah.
a mouse's life is a constant struggle for survival.
Right.
They're competing for food,
Yeah.
evading predators,
Yeah.
searching for mates.
Right.
But in Universe 25,
Yeah.
all those pressures were gone.
So instead of worrying about like basic survival,
Right.
they had all this free time to,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, contemplate their existence.
Well,
Did they start writing tiny mouse poems or something?
not quite.
Okay.
What happened was actually much darker
Okay.
as the population density increased
Yeah.
and the once abundant space started to feel crowded.
Right.
Their behavior began to change drastically.
Right.
The once harmonious mouse society descended into chaos.
So this idyllic mouse utopia devolved into some kind of rodent dystopia.
Pretty much.
Okay, I need details.
Okay.
What exactly was going on in this mouse city gone wrong?
Picture this:
Okay.
increased aggression, males fighting over territory, and females,
Okay.
mothers neglecting or even attacking their young. Normal mating behaviors were disrupted.
Okay.
Some males completely withdrew from social interactions,
Right.
while others became hypersexual and aggressive.
Wait, even the female started acting out.
It does, doesn't it?
This sounds more like a reality TV show than a scientific experiment.
Remember,
Right.
these mice didn't have scripts.
Yeah.
Their behavior was a direct response to the unique conditions of their environment.
Right.
The breakdown of social norms was so severe
Yeah.
that Calhoun dubbed this phenomenon the behavioral sink.
Behavioral sink.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty ominous.
Yeah.
So what happened next? Did this sink swallow up the entire mouse population?
Sadly, yes.
Really?
The social breakdown was so complete that the mouse population ultimately went extinct, even with all their physical needs met.
Wow.
And unlike his previous experiments that were cut short, Calhoun was able to observe the full trajectory of this utopia from its initial boom to its tragic end.
Wow, this is all pretty disturbing. Yeah. But I have to ask, what does it all mean?
Right.
I mean, they were just mice, right?
Right.
Surely we can't draw direct comparisons between their behavior and that of humans.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that Calhoun himself grappled with.
Right.
While we have to be cautious about directly applying animal studies to complex human societies, there are some valuable insights to glean from Universe 25.
Okay.
It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about our own relationship with our environment and the potential consequences of unchecked population growth, even in a world of abundance.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about mice in a cage anymore, are we?
Right.
This is about us.
Exactly.
About how we design our cities, our communities, even our digital spaces.
Right.
I'm sensing a connection here to the concerns about overpopulation that we're seeing today.
You're absolutely right. While Calhoun's work is often interpreted as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overpopulation, it's crucial to remember that human societies are far more complex than a mouse colony.
Okay.
We have things like culture, technology, and social structures that influence our behavior in ways that go beyond simple population density.
So are you saying that while we can't take Calhoun's findings literally, we should still pay attention to the underlying message?
Exactly. That even in a world of plenty, the way we design our environments, both physical and social, has a profound impact on our well-being.
Precisely.
Calhoun's work raises some truly thought-provoking questions about the role of design in shaping our behavior, our relationships, and ultimately our fate. But before we get too deep into that, let's take a closer look at what exactly happened to those mice in Universe 25. What were the specific behaviors that led to their demise? And what can they teach us about ourselves?
Okay, I'm all ears.
All right.
Let's unpack this behavioral sink.
Okay.
Let's see what lessons we can learn from these unfortunate mice.
These unfortunate mice. So you're ready to unpack this behavioral sink, huh? Okay, let's start by understanding the stages that led to this collapse.
Sure.
In the beginning, when space was plentiful, the mice thrived.
Okay.
They formed social hierarchies, engaged in courtship rituals, raised their young, you know, all the things you'd expect from a healthy mouse society.
That was the mouse equivalent of those idyllic small town communities where everyone knows their neighbor and looks out for each other. But as the population grew, things started to change. What were some of the early warning signs, the cracks in this seemingly perfect facade?
Well, as the population density increased and personal space became scarce, you started to see a rise in aggression, especially among the males. They became more territorial, constantly fighting over limited resources and access to females.
It's like that feeling when you're on a crowded subway and someone's backpack keeps bumping into you. Except in this case, the backpack is another mouse and they might bite you.
Exactly. Except these mice couldn't exactly get off at the next stop, right? They were stuck in this increasingly stressful environment. And as competition for resources intensified, this social fabric began to fray. Mothers, overwhelmed by the constant demands of motherhood in a crowded and stressful environment, started neglecting their pups.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes they even became aggressive towards them.
So even the most basic instinctual behaviors like parenting started to break down. That's chilling. Did any of the mice try to escape this chaos? I mean, there were no physical barriers preventing them from leaving the central areas of the enclosure.
That's the strange part. While they could have spread out to less populated areas of the habitat, many of them didn't. Calhoun observed that a significant number of mice, particularly the younger generation born into the chaotic environment, seemed to lose the ability to engage in normal social interactions altogether.
Wait, so even though there was technically space available, they chose to stay packed together like sardines in a can. Why would they do that?
It seems like they lost the social skills necessary to establish territories, form bonds, or even Calhoun called them the beautiful ones. They were physically perfect specimens, but they were completely withdrawn, spending most of their time grooming themselves, eating, and sleeping. They lacked the drive and social skills to participate in the complex interactions needed for a functioning society.
Wow. The beautiful ones.
Yeah.
That's such a tragic name.
Yeah.
It's like they were so overwhelmed by the chaos around them that they retreated into themselves, giving up on any attempt to connect with others. It's almost like they were living in a state of perpetual social anxiety.
That's a very insightful observation, and it's one of the things that makes this experiment so thought-provoking. It suggests that even when basic needs are met, overcrowding and social disruption can have profound effects on behavior, leading to a breakdown of social norms and even a loss of those very instincts that are essential for survival.
This all paints a pretty bleak picture.
Yeah.
So the mice were fighting, neglecting their young, and withdrawing from social interactions.
Yeah.
What was the final nail in the coffin for this mouse utopia? How did it all end?
With the breakdown of social structures and the decline in mating behaviors, the birth rate plummeted while the death rate steadily increased. Eventually, the population entered what Calhoun called the death phase. And the colony went extinct.
So even though they had everything they needed to survive physically, their society simply couldn't recover from the social and psychological damage.
Exactly.
Wow.
The behavioral sink proved to be inescapable. Calhoun's Universe 25 became a chilling testament to the idea that a seemingly perfect world, devoid of hardship and competition, could actually create conditions that are detrimental to a species' survival.
That's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
So we've explored the dark side of Universe 25, but before we spiral into an existential crisis, let's shift gears and talk about what this all means for us, for humans living in an increasingly crowded and interconnected world. I mean, are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of these mice?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's one we'll explore in more detail in part 3.
All right. So we've learned about these mice who had it all and then messed it all up. But what about us humans? Are we just bigger, smarter mice destined for the same fate?
That's the question that keeps a lot of people up at night. Calhoun himself saw Universe 25 as a warning for humanity. A stark illustration of what could happen if we ignore the social and psychological impacts of overcrowding.
We can't just draw a straight line from mice to men. So how do we make sense of this experiment in the context of our own messy, complicated world?
I think the key takeaway from Universe 25 is not about predicting a literal societal collapse. Instead, it's a call to pay attention to the design of our environments, both physical and social. Calhoun believed that thoughtfully designed spaces could foster positive social interactions, even in densely populated areas.
So instead of just focusing on cramming as many people as possible into a limited space, we need to think about creating spaces that encourage connection, collaboration, and a sense of belonging. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Think about the difference between a crowded, sterile office building and a vibrant, welcoming public park. Both might have a lot of people in them, but the way they're designed can have a huge impact on how people interact and behave.
That makes sense for physical spaces. But what about our digital environments? We're spending more and more time online in virtual communities that often feel just as crowded and chaotic as a real city. Does Calhoun's work have any relevance there?
Absolutely. In fact, I think Universe 25 might be even more relevant in today's digital age.
How so?
Think about the echo chambers and filter bubbles we encounter online, the constant barrage of information, the pressure to present a perfect image of ourselves on social media. These digital spaces can create their own versions of the behavioral sink, leading to increased anxiety, social isolation, and a decline in meaningful interactions.
It's almost like we're building our own digital versions of Universe 25, isn't it? A world of endless possibilities. But also a lot of potential pitfalls if we're not careful.
For sure.
So what's the solution?
Right.
Do we need to abandon technology altogether?
Right.
And go live in,
well, I don't think so,
tiny isolated communities?
Not at all. Just like with physical spaces. It's about being intentional about how we design and use these digital tools.
Okay.
We can choose to engage in online communities that foster diversity of thought, right? That encourage respectful dialogue.
Yeah.
And that prioritize real connection over superficial interactions.
So it's not about rejecting technology.
Right.
But about using it wisely.
Exactly.
To create environments that support our well-being, both online and offline.
Yeah.
That sounds like a challenge.
It is.
But also a really exciting opportunity.
I agree.
Yeah.
Calhoun's work, while unsettling, ultimately gives us a sense of agency.
Okay.
It reminds us that we have the power to shape our environments and, by extension, our own destiny. It's a call to action for all of us.
Greener.
Designers, policymakers, technologists, and everyday citizens. To think critically about the spaces we inhabit. And to create a world where both individuals and society as a whole can thrive.
Well, there you have it, folks.
There you go.
From a mouse utopia gone wrong to a vision for a more human-centered future.
That's right.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Absolutely.
Into the fascinating and thought-provoking world of Universe 25.
It is a fascinating one.
It is. And until next time, keep those brains buzzing.
Leave them buzzing.
And remember, even in a world of abundance,
yes,
design matters.
Design matters.